Okay, it's time. Hello everyone, this is Alexander Skałka from SALESmanago. I'm honored to have you here on our joint webinar with Antavo. Hi Jess.
Okay, thanks for having us.
The topic of this webinar is 5 ways of marketing automation and loyalty programs supercharge your customer retention. And as stated in the invitation, we will present you with the information on how to personalize your marketing communication even further, in what way marketing automation and loyalty programs strengthen each other, and how to go beyond rewarding purchases in loyalty program. This presentation will provide you a lot of knowledge, I hope. So if you will have any questions during the presentation, please write them down in the chat window. At the very end of the presentation, we'll have a time for questions and answers. Then we'll answer all these questions with Jess. Okay, I think that we can start. So short introduction. I am Alexander Skałka. I am Marketing Strategy Director at SALESmanago. On the daily basis, I'm helping our customers to implement marketing automation software and build marketing strategies that utilizes the marketing automation software. The sound is horrible. Let's try now. Maybe it would be better. Thank you for the feedback. If there is something wrong, please let me know. Jess, can you tell a few words about yourself?
Sure, yep. Hi everyone, my name is Jess Mizarak. I'm the Loyalty Strategy Lead at Antavo. So I support our strategy and insight team, who does support our clients with loyalty consulting. And I also support our sales team and our prospects with trying to figure out kind of what loyalty features match best with each different type of business that we're working with.
Okay, thank you, Jess. Okay, short introduction about our companies. I'm representing SALESmanago, which is a marketing automation platform that is operating in 40 countries now and is having almost 15,000 companies across the world. Marketing automation software is used in our case mostly by e-commerces, but also B2C companies. And among them, you can find some well-known brands, as you can see on the slide. The company was founded in 2012 and currently hires almost over 20 people. Basically, we are one of the first marketing automation platforms in Europe and one of the fastest growing marketing automation companies in Europe. So it's a pleasure working in SALESmanago.
All right, and I'll say a few words about Antavo. Antavo builds engaging e-commerce and omni-channel loyalty programs for both brands and retailers. We're also based right here in Europe with a presence in several different countries. Also, I should add, we're going to be in Germany starting in January as well. And I would just say, in terms of the clients that we work with, we have a very, very strong presence in the world of fashion retail, and we also have a strong presence in beverage, nutrition. We work with retailers and FMCGs across the board, and we've also had a lot of growth in the last few years since we have introduced our loyalty product.
Okay, thank you, Jess. So let's start with the basic information about what marketing automation is and what are the possibilities of using Antavo's loyalty programs. I will start with our part. So how SALESmanago works, how marketing automation works. Basically, there is a customer in the center of the entire process, of course. We are building single customer reviews that are built off the data which you gather in your different systems. So we collect information about transactions, behavior, your website behavior. You can integrate almost any platform in which you are storing your customers' data. So your data warehouses, CRM platforms, ERPs. We are also integrating the collection of data from social medias. So the purpose of using marketing automation is to make use of the data about a single customer, execute campaigns, and deliver them in many channels. And the way of executing the campaigns are different. I'll focus on main two ones. So, of course, marketing automation will enable you to perform marketing campaigns, let's say, in a standard way, where you can just target the group of customers, prepare a content, an offer, and deliver it as a mass campaign. However, the heart of the marketing automation software, as its name says, is automation. Basically, there's also the possibility of building the automated processes in which you are able to define how the system should behave based on the data which is coming about a single customer. So, for example, you are able to react to customers' actions on the website by sending them emails, SMSs, displaying banners on the website. So you can just easily automate the scenarios of communication in all channels. And SALESmanago integrates different channels of communication. This is a thing which is different from standard mass communication marketing platforms like email marketing, because email marketing is only one of the channels in which you can deliver your offers. SALESmanago integrates also the communication on the website, the ads, social medias. We have built in live chat solution, a web push technology for delivering notifications from the web browser, to send push notifications in mobile app, SMSs, and you can integrate your customer data and actions with offline sales, like you can send leads to a call center or display information about your customers on posts. And when it comes to overview of the features and capabilities, basically we can tell that marketing automation software is a platform which integrates all the communication channels, enables you to send mass campaigns, personalized campaigns in automated way. And it combines capabilities such as machine learning for building the product recommendations. It provides a lot of analytics and reporting. You can build behavioral profiles of your customers. You can manage the customer value in our software and adjust the ways that you communicate with your customers based on their value. And basically, this is a all-in-one platform which is utilized by marketing departments in companies from different verticals, from different industries.
All right, so I'll jump in and talk a little bit about why loyalty programs are relevant and why they should be used. So first, I'll start out by talking about a few statistics in the industry from CX Trends Report 2018. We have one quote: "Loyalty is not only alive, it seems to get stronger." And every once in a while, we read these articles about how loyalty programs are dead and this, that, and the other. But I would argue that that's absolutely not true and that they're becoming more popular. We've seen this. 83% of consumers consider themselves actually the same or even more loyal to brands than their parents, which I think is quite interesting. 73% of consumers are brand loyal in all or in some purchase categories, so I think that's quite relevant. And 91% of retail customers who feel valued stay with the brand. And I think that that's really a key stat, especially when we're speaking about this particular webinar, because the key to feeling valued is really getting that relevant communication throughout the loyalty experience. So all in all, I think we all know that customers have definitely changed over the last decade. Their expectations today are that they feel loyal behavior is more than just shopping. It's not about just making purchases. Customers now expect personalization. It's not just something that's really nice to receive, but it's actually an expectation. So it's something that all brands should really be working to focus on. Consumers reportedly now value time over money. They value experiences over physical possessions. So that's a really cool thing we can play around with in loyalty. And they also seek curated content, influencers, and recommendations. They're not necessarily going to trust, what's written on the website by a brand. They want to hear recommendations from friends, family, other consumers as well. So how can these needs be met with a loyalty program? So first of all, you can reward all brand loyalty behavior going beyond just the purchase transactions. I think that's really central to what we do at Antavo. You can also personalize the communication, the experience within the loyalty program. And you can actually personalize the rewards as well, so that you're not providing the same loyalty journey to all of your customers. You can also use the program as a way to create memorable experiences and build an emotional connection. And you can align a loyalty program with interests and beliefs of your customers, which I think is really cool. So the more you know about your customers, the more you can actually kind of curate that experience to what they love. Some of the challenges that we solve with loyalty, here are just some of the most common challenges we see from day to day. First of all is enrollment, getting customers into the loyalty program. Brands really want to build a large community and a successful community, and so that's a huge piece of the puzzle, is getting people in that community. Omnichannel, clients, they're interested in how they can identify the customers who are making purchases in their stores, because a lot of clients that we've worked with don't actually have that insight into who's making these purchases in the physical stores. At the heart of any loyalty program, of course, is number 3, incentivizing repeat purchases, right? Cross-sells, upsells, and just repeat purchase in general. Number 4 is a nice one about moving away actually from discount culture, right? We have a lot of consumers who are kind of waiting for the next sale, waiting for the next discount to arrive in their inbox. And so the question is, like, how can we move away from that and build something that's more emotional and less transactional in nature? Of course, encouraging brand engagement across the board, whether that's through social media, through mobile app, et cetera, et cetera. Again, for omnichannel brands specifically, driving footfall. How do we always say the high street is sort of dying, and we're seeing these kind of downtrends in brick and mortar. So the question is, how can we actually drive consumers back into the stores and get them touching and feeling the products again and experiencing that store experience? And then finally, enhancing personalization, which we will focus on very much for the rest of the webinar today. So having said that, let's start our little countdown on 5 ways that you can supercharge your customer retention using both loyalty and marketing automation. The first things first, definitely you have to collect more customer insights. That is definitely one of the great reasons to have a loyalty program, is to really just understand who your consumers are. So what kind of data can you get with a loyalty program? So typically, when a client comes to us, they already have some basic information about what's going on, especially on the e-commerce site. Name, email address, right? Who's making the purchase, commercial data, total value of purchase, most recent order, average order value, let's say, the average time between transactions and the channel that they purchased on. This is stuff that most companies already have. And also some behavioral data. Is the last visit to the site, maybe average time between visits, categories and brands that they maybe spend more time on or purchase from. And then maybe if there's a wish list online, we have some information about what they like in that sense as well. Well, loyalty data brings in a lot more data that you can use in your communication, such as if you have a tier-based loyalty program, the current tier that your customer's in. Sounds really simple, but it's actually a really effective piece of data to communicate regularly. The points balance is another one. It's simple, but it's very effective. You have this many points, you're really close to getting something really cool. Rewards that have been redeemed. If you have social sharing in your loyalty program, you have insight into what social shares have been made. Friend referrals is part of loyalty. Product reviews, if you're incentivizing product reviews, what products have been reviewed by your different customers. And also participation in campaigns. If you're going to run really cool loyalty campaigns, you should be able to see exactly how much reaction you're getting out of those campaigns. And finally, we also have some profiling data that you can get. And that can really be anything. Of course, it can be gender, age, maybe birthday, favorite color, personality, and I'll explain exactly how you would get this kind of data. But essentially, the idea is that through the loyalty program, you can come out and ask customers what it is that they like, what it is that they do, and how that equates to how they shop as well. So let me show you exactly how we can come out and ask customers important questions like this. So I always advise our clients to really think about what data would be valuable for them to create campaigns on and to really find a way to connect with their customers. And so what we did at Antavo is created gamified profiling where you can actually incentivize customers to answer any type of question in many different formats as well. So we can see starting on the left, the wear it or tear it. It's kind of like a Tinder-esque, let's say, type of quiz where basically it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down. You like it or you don't. Very simple, very easy for customers to answer quickly. You can also do multiple choice types of quizzes, visual quizzes. You know, what would you wear on an average day at work? Kind of understanding style or maybe color preferences. And then the last one's another type of multiple choice you could potentially do. You know, if you're going to wear heels, what style do you prefer? And again, so for a fashion company, these are examples of questions that really give you more insight into kind of what products that a customer is after on your site. And if we go to the next slide, it can also show you one of our clients, Louisa Via Roma, how they've done this. They actually, before they started a loyalty program, had just a profile for customers that they could fill in on their website. Once they registered, made an account, made a purchase, they could also fill in their profile. But they had a pretty low completion rate. So when they launched their loyalty program, it was actually one of their top priorities was to get people to actually complete and fill out that profile 100%. So you can see an email here where they said, you know, we want to get to know you better. You can get 100 points if you fill out your survey and also get a gift on your birthday because they were asking for a birth date within this profile. So instead of using, you know, a separate kind of quiz format, Louisa Via Roma used their own profiling form, and they just used the loyalty program to incentivize people to actually complete the profile. So then they did get that valuable data that they were looking for.
Okay, I will add to this because just focused on the declarative part of the data collection, which is of course really important because customers are directly telling you what are their preferences. However, sometimes people don't realize what their actual preferences. They sometimes declare something else that they really do. And this is where the marketing automation comes in and provides with additional data about your customers. Before I will go to the ways that we can collect the data, we've done many implementations where we are using progressive profiling as a way of collecting the data. Sometimes it's using declarative data, sometimes it's based on the behavior. In this case, we've implemented a progressive profiling campaign for Orange Telecom company in their customer service departments because they wanted to first decrease the number of phone calls they were receiving to the call center asking about some account details. So by monitoring who is on the website, what people are doing on the website, if they are looking for some frequently asked questions about the invoices, about the account settings, they know that after some time the customer is still on the page. He most frequently just calls the consultant in the call center to ask some questions. So we wanted to prevent the customers from doing so, and we've displayed to those customers a banner which was redirecting them to the registration page where they can just register an online account where all the account details can be displayed, can be managed by the customer himself without contacting the call center. However, we didn't end at this point because we wanted to get some more information about the customers. Because of that, SALESmanago is also integrated with the customer's CRM system, where also Orange collects the information about the usage of the mobile app. So when the customer was browsing the website, we already knew if the customer had an online account, used mobile app, and if he agreed on marketing communication. If not, if one of those points were not met, we're displaying the pop-ups with the right content, engaging the customer first to register the account. If he already had the account and he didn't have the mobile app, then we engaged him to redirect him to the right app store and download the app for iOS or Android. And if the customer had the account but didn't agree on getting marketing communication, then we offered him additional benefit of getting the right news about the products that customer may be interested in if he agree on getting the notifications on his account. So basically, by engaging the customer with the right content, you can convince him to behave in a specific way, to provide you more data about himself, engage him in other channels that he currently uses. But also, which is really important part of marketing automation, is a way of monitoring the website behavior, because data coming from forms, like I said, is the thing that customer would like to know or deliver us at the time he is filling the form. However, the preferences change in time. Customers sometimes have interest in different kinds of offers that we have on our website. So this is when the marketing automation comes in with the behavioral profiling. Marketing automation provides you to track customers' activity on the website. You know what products the customer browsed, what URL addresses he visited, when those visits was, and what are the customer's interactions with the product, what actually he clicks on the product, if he changes the size of the product, or based on this, the more information you collect about the customer's interest and preferences, the better you can use this data in your further campaigns.
All right, so that leads us to the second point of how to supercharge your customer retention, striving for better customer segmentation, which is a really important part of both loyalty and marketing automation. So from a loyalty perspective, we'd say scalable personalization is key, right? How can you personalize, we always say one-to-one, but how can you actually do this in a scalable way, create as many segments as you can that are relevant? So this is kind of an overview slide here, starting from registration and sign-in. Once you have the customers as a loyalty member, you have the capability to do more activity tracking, right? How are they interacting with the loyalty program? How are they interacting in terms of transactions as well? And then also incentivizing that additional data collection, right? What are you giving points for to get some extra data in return? And you can use this info to deliver a more relevant customer experience. So in this next slide here, I'm going to dive into the details and give you examples of each of this. So again, this is sort of the same format. After registration, there's activity tracking. So some examples being transactions on any channel, engagement activities such as website visits or social sharing, physical preferences, did they attend an in-store event and register? Or some of that sort of digital body language tracking that Alexander was mentioning. This is all information that can be used here. On the other hand, there's the direct data collection, and you have to think about what kind of data is, again, most valuable to you. Is it personal information? Is it preferences and interests? Is it shopping habits? Is it who they go shopping for? And you can do this through the profile completion or the quizzes or voting, for example. And that gives you all of that data is combined into a single customer view. From that single customer view, any information that's available in a customer profile can essentially be used as a segmentation element. So my example here, if I'm running a bookstore, let's say, that I want to make sort of a hardcore readers segment, so highly enthusiastic shoppers who have bought at least 3 books online in the last month. That's a segment that I'm interested in creating. So I can do that in the loyalty program or on my marketing automation tool. And then I can now personalize a loyalty campaign to that particular segment. I can say, all right, I want them to buy 3 more books. So I say, buy 3 books in the next 3 weeks and get triple points. And so this is just a way to kind of build a habit to continue that sort of pace of shopping among this particular segment. And then also from the loyalty experience, I can also personalize a reward only for this segment, which is, for example, I want to drive this segment not only to shop online, but also to come into one of my stores. So my reward might be get a free coffee at our in-store cafe the next time you actually come in and make a purchase of at least 2 books in one of our store locations. And this can be a store location specific offer, a specific country, or a specific individual store. But really you can think about exactly what kind of additional behavior you want to drive and build the rewards that will actually, be interesting for that customer, right? They do love buying books, and maybe we know that they love coffee, so giving them that reward would be really the best choice. All right, so when I was preparing for this webinar, I was actually thinking about some of the loyalty emails that I've actually reacted to as a consumer, not just for work, right? And this is one of them that came to my mind. Even though I am not flying all that often, and it's not something that I would just go out on the weekend and buy a flight, I really found this email from Lufthansa to be quite effective, and it really, I was immediately registering. And what I want to say about this is, so it's offering triple miles between Frankfurt and the US, and that is pretty much the most common flight that I take with Lufthansa since I've been a member of their loyalty program. They also say fly to exciting destinations in comfort in the premium economy class, register now to get your triple points. So what I'd like to say about this is that sometimes it's the most simple data that's the most effective. So here they've looked at my past purchase data, right? I regularly fly between Frankfurt and the US. They know that, they've seen that. They also know that recently I purchased a premium economy seat for the very first time since being a customer of Lufthansa. So they also picked up on that and they've put that in the email as well. One thing they also know is that I recently completed a survey on my experience with premium economy. So they actually know that I really enjoyed it. So they're probably picking up on that as well. And then they create the loyalty offer itself, which is triple points, which is a pretty good incentive. And it's gonna track the offers. They're gonna track whether or not I make a purchase. So I'm gonna register in the beginning, and then they'll know whether I actually purchased that seat or not after registration. So I think this was a really motivating email. I definitely registered right away and got back onto their website. And I remember as well, after I was on the Lufthansa website, I went over to the Miles and More app as well, just to kind of see what was happening in my loyalty program, see if I had any points to spend. So that's just one of those things as a consumer. Afterwards, I was thinking about it. I was like, well, that was actually really good use of data. That's just one example.
Yeah, okay, so I will, if you are wondering how to build that, how to exactly focus on what kind of data you would like to use and how to convert them into the segments, there are different ways of using different technologies to do so. Sometimes companies make that segments based on the analytical people working in the analytical department, where they are just analyzing the data, of course, taking different criteria into the consideration, wondering which of the data should be used to create a segment. And also, there are some tools that enable you to do it automatically. One of them is, of course, marketing automation, where segmentation is a really important part, because all your marketing activities should be, as the general rule about the person, individually adjusted to the customer preferences. So there are different ways of building the segments in marketing automation. There are basically main two types of segmentation. The first one is behavioral, and the second one is transactional. Behavioral is a little bit simpler, because by tracking what products the customers are browsing on the website, what are the product attributes, you can just assign segments describing the customer's preferences by, for example, adding them to the segments as interested in specific product categories, specific brands, products with a specific color, and then when you have your next campaign, you can target this campaign to the people who are interested in specific product attributes. Maybe a little bit more complex segmentation type is transactional segmentation, where you have the data about the products that the customer is buying, so the same as in behavioral, but also you have 3 dimensions in which you can look at the customer's transactional data. And for such segmentation, we use RFM, marketing automation, RFM analytics. RFM is short for recency, frequency, and monetary dimensions. So in this case, marketing automation enables you to segment the customers based on the time that was spent from the last purchase, the frequency of the purchases in given time, and the amount of money the customer is spending. So you can create your own tiers where you can define what does it mean for you that the customer has purchased in short time, and what does it mean if he has not bought anything in a long time, or what does it mean that the customer spends a lot, or what does it mean that the customer is spending less. So you can, basically on your data, you can adjust this automatic segmentation, and the system will build a segmentation for you, which will connect those two dimensions, two from three. For example, you can build a segment of the customers who are spending a lot and did not buy anything for a long time. And based on the fact that the customer is being segmented to that group, you can trigger some actions that will engage these customers. For example, there will be a higher value for you for the customer who was spending a lot, and you will be ready to invest more in getting him back on the website and getting him to buy something again by, for example, providing a higher discount code or any other incentive that Jess is mentioning here in this webinar. And the other part about the segmentation is to have the data always up to date. So if you are tracking customer preferences, if you are tracking customers' transaction, you should always have in mind that the preferences are changing. So if someone was once interested in specific product category, it doesn't mean that the same category will be interesting for him in always. Yeah. So the customers behave in different way in different parts of the year, for example. So different kinds of product categories will be interesting for them. So you can use features like dynamic segments to automate and define the time in which you would like to measure the interest in specific products by behavior and transactions. So it makes it using the segments always up to date.
Cool. All right, so that leads us to number 3, putting that data to good use. So how can we use that data in our communication? I'm going to show you a few more examples of how some of Antavo's clients, as well as some companies who are doing this well. So we'll start with Luisa Villaroma again, since I've already introduced them. And here they have an email that goes out that says, you are eligible for a 70 euro credit. So transform your points into rewards. That's basically the message of this email. And again, this is a simple one, right? It's very straightforward. This has to do with how many basically points I have in my balance and what rewards I'm eligible for. And this is a really effective type of email because it is giving the customer a specific action to take that is really relevant to the loyalty program and getting a reward, because obviously the rewards are a central part of any loyalty program. That's what really drives people to kind of build that emotional connection, right? Because they're getting something cool, we hope, from the brand. Another example here, I'm not sure why I'm on flight mania these days, but this is from JetBlue, Flying Blue Miles email. And this is an example of a points expiration email, which is also another pretty common type of loyalty email to send out. If your loyalty program does have points expiration or miles expiration in it, then letting customers know that those points might go away in the very near future is kind of a way to kind of create that fear of missing out, or to get people to just take action and get back on the site and see exactly, what that means for them and how they can maybe fix that really quickly. So that's also another email that we've seen a lot of engagement from, from our clients, as well as across the board from their benchmarks. All right. Here we also have how customers can, or how clients can use their data to create more exclusive offers. One example, I think many people who have taken a look at loyalty programs in general are probably familiar with the beauty brand Sephora and their Beauty Insider program. And they have a tiered program. So they have 3 tiers: Beauty Insider, VIP, and VIP Rouge, as you can see here. And they often run campaigns that give each tier a slightly better amount of points, or a slightly better bonus. And they make it visible for all members, which I think is really smart in a way, because as I'm a Beauty Insider member at the kind of low end tier, I'm only getting double points, and I can see, there's like a really tangible benefit for actually moving up into the next tier. So I think this is a smart way to approach, campaigns and also just the communication of campaigns. Sometimes it makes sense to focus only on one tier and communicate to them, but sometimes it makes sense to run a campaign where everybody can see what everybody else is getting too, which can sometimes motivate customers to move up in the program. The other example I have here is from another client of Antavo's, which is Simply Be. And they're running Simply Be Perks program, which is a fully surprise and delight program. They actually don't have any points. They don't have any tiers visible to the customer. And so it's really kind of a, I would say, an inclusive program in many ways. And what they do is they communicate offers or content that is exclusive to members only. So they really focus on all members together. So one really unique thing about Simply Be Perks, if you have a chance to check out the loyalty program that they're running in the UK, they also offer exclusive content from influencers in fashion that's only available and sort of positioned as a reward for members of their loyalty program. And they communicate that regularly. As a member, you get access to this really cool, fashion insight from your favorite influencers who are going to tell you, how you might want to dress for the next season and share information about their own style and their own lives. So I think that's another really great example of how they're just using exclusivity in general as a data point. Okay. And so let's take a look at some numbers here as well. This is another client of Antavo's, Beer Hawk. They are an omni-channel craft beer retailer. So they actually have a few bars or pubs in London, and they also sell a lot online. So what they found is that the loyalty-related content really does make customers more likely to react. So they are very often seen running campaigns, for specific weekends, specific holidays to get, let's say, double beer tokens. Beer tokens is kind of their point system. And so they've seen a lot more reaction when they're actually just incorporating loyalty campaigns rather than sort of just a generic blanket campaign to all members and non-members. So here's an example. On the right side, you have £7.75 in beer tokens to spend now. And so basically they've just integrated the loyalty data into their email campaigns as just another layer of personalized content that's relevant to the person who's opening the email. That's all. So if we move to the next slide, I will show you a little bit about what they've actually seen in terms of uplift from loyalty-based emails versus non-loyalty emails. So I'll actually start at the bottom here, where we have a non-loyalty email for Christmas. Last chance to grab Christmas beers, order by 4 p.m. on the 21st. It's pretty small. But basically it's a non-loyalty email just saying, hey, come on the website, buy a beer, it's special. And so you can see for the non-loyalty emails, their open rate was 29%. Their click to open was 7%, and their on-site conversion was 5.8%. Just by making what I would consider a pretty small, simple change to say in this email that you have £10.25 to spend in beer tokens. It's the same timing for the campaign. This is just testing the difference between the two. Their loyalty email brought in a 33% open rate. What's really impressive is the click to open rate being 16%. And the on-site conversion went up to 10.7%. So it was a pretty huge jump for this particular client. And really that's simply because of one data point, which is really their points balance essentially being a part of the Christmas campaign that they were running. That's some really cool insight.
It seems impressive. Okay, I just looked at the clock, and it seems that we have to speed up a little bit.
Okay.
So I will try to make it brief. One of the ways that customers when he is currently engaged in your offer, and this is really important part of the entire marketing communication, not to lose customers' interests by sending irrelevant messages. And it is always good to communicate using one-to-one personalization. The example that I'm showing here is T-Mobile telecom company, and they use dynamic emails. Dynamic emails are built with the content adjusted one-to-one to each customer, depending on what they do on the website. So if someone's, for example, browsing a TV, which is also available in T-Mobile's offer, they will send automatically an email which will contain this product inside the message. Also provide additional benefit of buying this product, because if you buy a TV in mobile, you will also get the access to TV Go streaming service. And also they can use here cross-sell campaign to also sell devices that the customer browses if he browses also the phones. If you look at the statistics, the open rates for dynamic emails, so the emails that are sent automatically to people who are engaged in your offer, interested. So there is a right time and right content when we are sending these messages, are getting really high open rates and CTRs. In this case, almost 60% open rate and almost 20% CTR, compared to mass mailings where we have, by average, on in the global data and statistics, open rate about 18% and CTR about 2%. It's many times. It's really. You can see the difference, yeah, basically. There's other example of using the dynamic communication on other stages in the customer life cycle. The thing that I mentioned about sending the relevant content, why is this important? Because if we are sending irrelevant content, we can see a tendency when customer is at the beginning of his interactions with the brand, interested in opening the emails, in clicking the links that you are sending. However, the more mails he receives, mails or other communication, of course, the more messages are being delivered and they are not fitting the customer tastes. The customers are less willing to open them, and eventually they stop opening the emails or just unsubscribe. So this is why this is important to also engage your customers besides your mass campaigns with the content which is one-to-one tailored for their interests. And the another example that I'm showing here is a renewal campaign for the subscription. If someone subscribes a magazine and the subscription comes to an end shortly, the company starts to send the reminders that the customer can prolong the subscription. If he don't react, if he doesn't do it, then they also are sending the additional emails, but they start to add a discount code to engage this customer again, not to lose him again. So again, if we look at the statistics, the results are a few times higher than if compared to mass mailings. And the thing that Jess is referring to as maybe not the best way to engage your customers is a way of discounting. Of course, discounts are not good, and we agree on this because you're losing the margin on the sales. But some companies try to do a discounting a little bit more smarter. We are not offering here the same discount for all the customers who are not active. If we have the customers that have not bought anything for a long time, depending on their value for us, so the monetary spending, so we use here RFM analytics again, we are able to provide the customer with the other value of the discount for the next purchase. This is how we can spend less, can invest less in the customers that have not that high value for us, and still get them back as our customers. And if we look at the statistics, again, they are a few times higher compared to mass action. Okay,
and I
so
think that's important to say. I just wanted to jump in and say I think that's really important to say that there is a place for discounts for sure. You just don't want to be maybe giving discounts to people who are already in love with your brand and don't necessarily need them. So I think that's a really good point that you made.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now I'll focus now on the communication channels, because in modern world, let's say, the customers are everywhere, basically. Your offers can be displayed on desktop, on mobile, in ad networks, in social media. So you should be there where are your customers. Yeah, so you should follow your customers and show that you are there. Make it easier for them to get back to you. So the first thing which is important here is to have the ability to track in what communication channels the customer is using. So if he uses social media, if he browses your website, if he uses your mobile app, you should collect all this information to be able to engage this customer in the channels that he's actually using. And the other thing is how to do it. So there's a technology that enables you to build a communication which changes the way you send an offer to the customer from a mass communication to in a single channel to a long multi-stage scenario using different communication channels. So we have the customers on the website. We are able to send them emails, SMSs, web push notification, mobile app notifications. So we can see how the customer reacts on one of the messages that we are sending in one of the channels. We're able to build a scenario of how we should what should we do next to make the customer to convince the customer to buy our product. So one of the case studies that we used here, we used this kind of communication was Vox. This is the company that sells furniture online. However, they also have offline stores in more than 100 stores in Poland and 40 stores abroad. Now it's even more. Of course, we are supporting their online sales with the dynamic emails, with the campaigns for that recovers the abandoned cart. But one of the really interesting implementations that we used here was the integration of the app where you can design the interior of your home, of your house, with the products they have in their offer. So there is an online application where you can just register, log in. You are providing the sizes of your interior, and by selecting the products from the catalog, you can design the entire interior online. What is cool in this application is the fact that you are able to provide your details, your location, and you can schedule a visit in the offline store where the salespeople in the offline store are receiving the information when should they prepare the products that you used in your project, and when you will come. So basically the customers who are building the project online can see the products offline. And in this case, like you're buying furniture, it is always good to touch the product, to the shelf, for example, see the quality of the product. So they saw a big opportunity in combining different communication channels and sales channels to get more conversions. And of course, besides all the other effects that they had, like increasing the conversion rates, open rates, and CTRs for their emails with the one-to-one personalization, one of the most amazing facts is that the 22% of all the people who use the app to design an interior bought something offline. So I think it's really high conversion rate if you compare it to average 2% for online stores. It's 10 times higher. So using the right communication channel in the right time is a crucial point of getting your customers engaged and keeping them interested in your communication.
Right, so I will jump in with the final point. This one should be relatively quick. And just to reward customers and keep your program, your loyalty program fresh, as well as your communication, just keep it fresh. That's always a great way to continue reaching your customers. The very, very simple point I want to share with you is that every new reward, every new offer that you create within a loyalty program is a reason to reach out to your customers, let them know what's going on, try to get them back online or back into one of your stores. Of course, you have to do so in moderation, right? If everybody starts getting emails every 5 minutes in the overcrowded inbox anyway, that's when we start to see opt-outs unfortunately rise. But it's all about striking a balance and making sure the communication is personalized, because that's the sort of thing that people are going to be interested in, and really just letting them know about what new benefits are coming into the loyalty program and what they can take advantage of as services or that sort of thing with the brand. Very, very quickly, I'll try to run through this. So this is another campaign from Luisa Villaroma, a couple of campaigns, and I just wanted to share the difference between average open rate and click rate for non-loyalty versus loyalty emails, which you can see loyalty emails have a significantly higher rate over both. Two things I'd like to point out here is that the birthday emails were particularly successful, as well as the points pending emails. Pending points essentially cover a return period for Luisa Villaroma, right? You have, let's say, 30 days to return a product. This basically prevents people from getting points on a product, spending their points, and then returning a product. So this is basically what that is. But the points pending email actually got a lot of attention and got people to click through quite a bit just to see exactly what was going on, and it got them back on the website, which I think is really cool. And also one last slide I'd like to share with you is I mentioned I was going to come back to Lufthansa again with another email that I reacted to pretty much instantaneously when I saw it in my inbox earlier this year. It was basically a gift for no apparent reason. Just get 2,000 extra miles on your next flight. This is something that I immediately registered for, and I actually ended up buying a flight and I'm using this. But essentially, a bonus or a gift for no particular reason has a really great surprise and delight effect, and really makes people think, oh wow, that's a really cool thing that brand did. Of course, you can use your data to segment this and maybe make this offer only, in a win-back email situation for customers who are maybe kind of you're losing them. So you don't have to offer necessarily this to everybody. That could be quite expensive. But you can kind of use that approach to give something really unexpected to customers. I think that's something more brands should really be doing, just because that's the kind of thing that consumers are going to remember for quite a while.
On the other hand, by using technologies, automation, we are making the customer used to the rewarding systems. And this is the study that we've done for 500 e-commerces from Europe, where we checked how our customers reacting to different kinds of campaigns. And one of these campaigns is abandoned carts recovery campaign. What is really interesting fact here is we have two kinds of campaigns where we are sending the dynamic email with the product recommendations almost with the almost exactly the same purpose, but based on other different customers' actions. Abandoned cart recovery is, let's say, a standard way of retargeting the customers. However, there is also the product retargeting emails, which are different from us because the customer don't have to add a product to cart. It takes him only to just browse the products on the website, but still he can get a message with the product recommendations automatically after some time. And the results of sending the dynamic email after the visit, after 1 hour from when the customer leaves the page without buying anything, was 46%. If you look at the statistics of abandoned cart recovery email, it's 57%. The scenario is the same. The customer enters the website, browses the product, or adds it to cart, and after an hour receives a message with the recommendations. So in both cases, the customer is receiving the email after 1 hour. But the fact that he added the product to cart results in improving the open rate of this email by 11%. So we can conclude that the customer, some of the customers may be adding products to cart intentionally and wait to receive the message. For the dynamic product retargeting without adding product to carts, there is no way the customer knows that he will get the message because he didn't do anything. He only just browsed products. and the open rate is lower. So you can see that some of the customers may be interested in getting your additional value that you offer. And one of the things that you can do is not to provide him this additional value immediately when he does something. This is really, there was a really cool story about how the Yves Rocher, so cosmetic producer, told me once. They are selling, of course, mostly to women, and there is a forum online that people are sharing their experiences, their opinions on the different cosmetics. The forum is called Visage PL, and anytime Yves Rocher was creating a new campaign to engage the customers more, give some discounts or free products as a part of the purchase, there is always a person who was describing the entire process on how to get those discounts. So if they created a simple automation like enter the website, add product to cart, leave, and you will get the message, people are just describing entire processes from point one to receiving the discount. So they found that providing customers rewards too easily by their behavior is not the best point. You can do it smart if you will try to make this process of delivering the rewards better fitting the actual customer's behavior. Like someone, it's not that simple that you just add products to cart and immediately receive the additional value. Sometimes it's good to make it a little bit longer, the entire path of getting those discounts, and the customers won't make use of that reward that easily. And one last thing which is important here is the fact that discounts are not always the best way of getting the customer's attention. On this slide, you can see the comparison of click-through rates for messages with dynamic recommendations that are sent an hour after leaving the page, and 24 hours, and 48 and 72. And you can see here that the CTR is a little bit higher for 24 hours. However, are containing the discounts. The first one doesn't. So the difference is not that big if you look at the price that you have to pay for getting the customer back. If you are sending the message in the right time, you can still get the customer back without giving him a discount. Yeah, and this is all for the 5 ways of how marketing automation and loyalty programs can improve your customer retention. If you have any questions, now is the time. We're waiting for your questions. Okay, so technically, if you would like to ask questions, you can write them in the chat. So I see that there are people who are holding hand up, but we have to see your questions in the chat section. So please write them down. Okay, there's a first question. Can loyalty campaigns be run for one specific product? I think this is a question to you.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So this is going to largely depend, of course, on the loyalty provider that you're working with. You know, and I can really only speak for what we do at Antavo. Yeah, we have a platform that's really flexible in terms of what you're running your campaigns on. So it could be an individual product SKU or ID. It could be a product category. It could be the number of items in the cart, for example. So really, kind of any information that Antavo is receiving, you can create a sort of campaign based on that sort of product data. So even you can have a yellow sale if we happen to know that your certain products are yellow. If we know the colors. So really, the sky's the limit. As long as we have the data around it, you can create the campaign.
Okay, great.
Thanks for the question.
Okay, there's another question. How the one-to-one personalization is done? I think this is one. To make it possible to provide the customers with one-to-one recommendations, you have to first collect the data about the customer's interest. So monitor the activity on websites, collect the transactional data, and there are mechanisms that have special algorithms that enable you to define how you would like to adjust the product. So you can use different kinds of recommendations like last viewed products, last purchased products, recommended based on other users' actions. And these are the things that you can just use yourself from the level of our platform, or you can use special technologies that enable you to do so. But most of the marketing automation platforms have this kind of, those who are designed for e-commerces, of course, have that kind of ability to select one of the existing scenarios, and they are implemented inside the template of the message. And when the email is sent, the recommendations are calculated for each customer individually, and everyone receives products relevant for them. Okay, there are other questions. Jess, I think this one is to you. How often would you recommend to update and refresh, for example, loyalty prices in app?
That's a really good question. I think so one thing I can share with you without giving a specific answer, because I think that's really going to depend a lot on the type of business that you're running and what you're selling. I can share with you that our clients who have actually come out and sort of asked customers what kind of rewards they're interested in and what they want to see in the loyalty program have had kind of the best feedback overall. So I would say one just piece of advice, even though I'm not really directly answering your question, I'm sorry for that, is to come out. Don't be afraid to ask what your customers think of the loyalty program. Ask what kinds of rewards they want to see. We have some clients who are changing their sort of experience-based rewards once every few weeks. But if you feel like you have a smaller selection of rewards in general, I think every couple of months is even good, just as long as you're reaching out to customers when you're making that update. I think that's the most important thing. So really, if you have the opportunity, definitely ask your customers how they feel about the loyalty program and how they feel about the rewards. And then when you do make those changes, definitely be loud about it, because that's what people want to hear, really.
Thank you, Jess. Another question. In case of a B2B company, which are the most effective ways to increase the customer retention? I'm not sure to whom this question is to, but in my opinion, it highly depends on what are you selling. In B2B companies, there are things different from e-commerce, because this is not that the customer buys something and he gets the product and uses it or not. In B2B, there's a long-term cooperation, so there are different things that you should do to get the customer, of course, satisfied with the cooperation. But good idea, depending on what are you selling, is to onboard your customers. If you are providing some kind of software or services, it is good to educate your customers on how it can use your product, how it can use your services, what are the possibilities. This should be done as a part of the onboarding program, and you can track the usage of your product or the services that you do, and depending on how customers are active, automate some communication programs that will show the customers the features that he's not using currently but can, or of course the services. Just, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, this just got me thinking from the reward standpoint, is that you could definitely consider for B2B really focusing more on additional added services that you could have, like a special service line for members only, for example, customer service, that sort of thing. Definitely what we've seen work. We don't work with too many B2Bs at Antavo, but we do work directly with them in terms of strategy. I would say we've seen a lot of success with the experience-based rewards as well. So obviously discounting a B2B service or product is going to be a little bit trickier in some cases, but definitely if you can find relevant types of experiences that customers would enjoy, whether that's business event access, or getting them tickets to a particular speaker event, something like that. These are the kinds of things that are really relevant to the business of of your clients. And I think also that's kind of the key to increasing retention is making sure that the actual rewards themselves have something to do with the work they're doing and the product that you're selling to them.
Another question, this one addressed to me, I think. how do I get this marketing automated information? Do I have to define, please give me all flight purchases from France to USA from the last year, booking their seats in economy, and the system gives me the contacts and send out the email? Okay, so yeah, good question. There are different things that can be done. Like I said, there are some scenarios that are ready to use. This one is a little bit more complex. Let's say that those default settings, those default scenarios that are ready to use in a platform are, for example, products by the customer, products recommended for the customer because other customers similar to this one have purchased these products. But also, besides the default scenarios, there is possibility of building the custom way of recommending the products. In this case, for example, we would be able to select all those criteria mentioned. So all flight purchases from France to USA from last year in economy class. This kind of information we should have in the transactional data in the platform. And to build that custom mechanism, we have a special language of coding, which is called free marker. And it enables us to set up totally custom scenarios. So all these criteria can be used. This is a thing that should be done only once. So the algorithm that we prepare is created only once and then can be used multiple times, providing you the possibility, for example, to define only the countries that you are interested in from departure country and arrival, and the type of the seat. And when you are sending the email campaign or other kind of campaign, you can define those additional attributes, and the system will select the right group of contacts. And there are other questions. Let me find the one that I can answer. We can answer in the first place. There are lots of questions about the presentation and the recording. So we will send you a follow-up message that will include the link to the recording and also the presentation. I think if just you don't mind, I think that we can share the presentation. Okay, there is a good question. The webinar was so much about technology, but we need a vision, and I would like to know how can I create how to implement this vision with the software, and we should simplify this. Yeah, just suggestions.
Sure. Okay, yeah, so it's a kind of a complicated question just simply because every company is going to have a different set of goals, right? Every company is going to have a different set of KPIs that they're measuring. I would say, you have to start by considering those KPIs, start by considering the kind of behaviors you want to see in your customers and build the strategy from there. There are a lot of resources available online. I could even, share some information from our blog as well, from the loyalty perspective side, and how to kind of build a program that it's going to resonate with your customers and your business goals. I would say actually that that's what a lot of the time needs to be dedicated to upfront, is really creating that concept for the loyalty program and for the communication, and then the implementation itself is generally kind of a quick process. I don't know, without knowing kind of the details of anyone's specific business and kind of what they want to achieve, it's difficult to make any sort of timing estimation or something like that. But I would say is that really consider the kind of features and the kinds of types of emails and the types of SMS that you're going to send out really should all link back to what it is that you want to achieve. So I would spend the time with your team to really kind of map out 3 top goals, let's say, that you want to see, and then building from there. One other thing I could recommend, especially from a loyalty standpoint, is starting small with a program that's only has a few features in the beginning. Start building your customer data, see how customers are interacting with the loyalty program, see how customers are interacting with your loyalty emails. And from there, you'll have enough information to see, what's working better, what's working not so well, and you can build the program and the communication out from there, knowing that you're going to go in the right direction. I hope that somewhat answers the question there.
I agree. We have the same experience in implementation of marketing strategies that use marketing automation software. The tools are advanced, yeah. So you have lots of things that can be set up, different kinds of campaigns that you can run. The entire implementation process starts from your business goals. What are your priorities? What KPIs you would like to improve by using different kinds of software or campaigns? Depending on that, there are people who have a lot of experience in designing the communication processes, experience in using the tool. So in case of using marketing automation software, it is really important to have that kind of consultant on the side of the software producer that will enable you to utilize the technology into your marketing and sales processes. So we do it in that way that we are starting with the workshops with the customer, where the customer shares with us his priorities, his previous experiences in using different kinds of marketing campaigns. And we are thinking on how we can use the functionalities of the system to improve that processes, how to fill gaps in his marketing process by using different automation processes that engage the customers on different stages of the life cycle. So you don't have to have a knowledge how to use the tool. You have to know your business priorities, and then you are able to utilize those technologies well. Another question to you, Jess. On app-based loyalty program, do you think push notification or email is the way to engage active loyal customers? It's also to me, but if you have experience, you can start.
Yeah, sure. Actually, off the top of my head, I don't have stats, between, what performs better. I would say definitely if you have a loyalty program in an app, then definitely you want to take advantage of push messages, especially if you can do location-based push messages. So when they're kind of nearing a particular store of yours, for example, that's going to be something that's super valuable. You can kind of send out an offer, just say, hey, welcome in, we'd love to see you, that sort of thing. So I would say push messages is definitely something super valuable. Again, I don't really have kind of the comparison over of whether that's better or worse than email. I would say if you can use both, again, in moderation, then that's probably going to be the best way to approach different customers. And I assume, Alexander, you probably have some insight into like specific customers and sort of their preference between the two channels.
Hello, Jess, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah. So sorry, I've lost the sound for a second. So yeah, what we do to answer that questions, we are always encouraging the customers to do A/B tests. I know this is something that you probably heard a lot in many places, but the fact is that we, in some cases where we have really good working processes with really high open rates, CTRs, conversion rates, we change only one of the simple things, the results can be quite easily improved. So if you have available different communication channels, you can try to communicate with some part of your database in email, in some by push notifications, and see how they will react, how many people will click, how many will convert. But you have to look at this in some longer term. It's not only a way of you can't just make a decision on which channel to use based on a single campaign, because you have to have in mind things that we were talking today about, like the possibility of getting the customer unsubscribed because you are using one of the channels too frequently. So maybe sometimes it's good to combine the channels. One sent an email, one sent a push notification. If you have really important for you campaigns that you are counting on when you are generating sales, for example, sometimes it's good to combine both of these communication channels. First send push notification. If customer doesn't react, leave him an email with the same content. Yeah, okay, I don't see any new questions, so I think this would be this. So yeah, thank you very much, Jess. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for staying around so long as well. We appreciate it.
We'll send to you the follow-up after this webinar with all the information. If you have any questions about things that we haven't mentioned, any requests, please just contact us directly. Here are the contact details. If you have some questions connected with marketing automation platform, there is an address there, info@salesmanago.com. For related inquiries, it's sales@antavo.com. Okay, thank you very much, all of you. Thank you, Jess. Have a great day. Bye-bye.